North Central College's athletic programs began as simple field day community events. After 27 national championships and 111 individual national champions, the college's athletic program ranks among the elite in the nation. Today, North Central College welcomes 6 new members to its Athletic Hall of Fame. This 2011 class of inductees represents the best of the best among thousands of student athletes. As you're introduced to each inductee, you will see that in many ways their stories are similar to those of many other athletes. But they each had something extra that pushed them to greatness. John C. Jack Nothacker, class of 1960. Jack Nothacker was one of the Cardinals' top performers in his era for the football, baseball, and track and field squads. On the gridiron, Nothacker was an NAIA Little All-American in 1959, a 1959 All-CCI selection on both offense and defense, and a 1960 All-American Bowl participant. He was a 3-year track and field letter winner and a freshman record holder in discus throw. On the diamond, Nothacker was a 2-year letter winner and a starting pitcher. Byron Ware, class of 1963. On a roster full of trailblazers during North Central College's most successful era in men's swimming, Byron Ware was a major contributor to 3 NAIA team national championships. Ware was among the first African Americans in any level of collegiate swimming to win a national title. He was a recipient of 7 NAIA All-America certificates, a member of 4 straight College Conference of Illinois championship teams, the member of 3 NAIA national championship teams, and the 1961 200-yard breaststroke conference champion. Matt Richards, class of 1987. Long after his time as the pitching ace of some of the most successful baseball teams in North Central College history, Matt Richards remains a standard-bearer for future Cardinals. Richards was a 1987 NCAA Division III second-team All-American, a 2-time first-team All-CCIW selection, and was the 1987 CCIW Player of the Year. He remains the Cardinals' all-time leader in career wins, winning percentage, career shutouts, and single-season starts. Susan Boehm Randazzo, class of 1990. As the first All-College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin selection in the history of the North Central College volleyball program, Susan Boehm Randazzo was a cornerstone for the Cardinals in the early days of CCIW competition. Randazzo is the only 4-time All-CCIW volleyball selection in school history, a 2-time All-CCIW volleyball tournament selection, and a member of the 1988 CCIW Championship volleyball team. Paula Monk Svora, class of 1992. Paula Monk Svora was the first female athlete to earn All-America honors in cross-country and indoor and outdoor track and field at North Central College. She was an All-American in cross-country, a 3-time All-American in track and field, the 1991 CCIW cross-country champion, and a 3-time CCIW outdoor 5,000-meter run champion. Svora graduated as the holder of 4 North Central records and is the 6th female North Central Athletic Hall of Fame inductee to have competed in track and field, but the first to have also competed in cross-country. Shawn Welti, class of 1990. As North Central College's 6th individual national champion in men's track and field, Shawn Welti was instrumental in establishing North Central as a perennial contender on the national scene. Welti was a 7-time NCAA Division III All-American, the 1988 Division III long jump national champion, a member of the 1989 NCAA Division III indoor and outdoor national championship teams, a member of 4 straight CCIW championship teams, and a 4-time individual CCIW champion. Congratulations to North Central College's 2011 Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. As the college celebrates its sesquicentennial, our Hall of Fame inductees leave a legacy to inspire future generations of North Central College Cardinals.
Sorry. You young guys, you'll know what I mean in a few years. Well, listen, it's really wonderful to be back here today. As you can see by Matt's on-field accomplishments in the brochure here, this is definitely a well-deserved award for Matt. And I am honored to be his presenter. But after Matt asked me, I started to think about it, and I tried to figure out, why me? Because, Matt had several teammates that were with him for 4 years. I was with him for 3 years. Two of those guys actually are current Hall of Famers. And as I was pondering that, it kind of struck me, I'm not here today probably because of the time that I spent with Matt as Matt's teammate. It's probably something a little more important and deeper than that, wouldn't you think, Matt? I was Matt's RA in school. And if Tom Purcell were here today, he would tell you that it was an important job. And I figured since neither Kerry Seltzer or Matt's favorite hall director at the time, Angel Collins, were available, I was the next best thing. And Matt, just for future reference, if you do need Kerry's number, Tim Perrano does have it. I know that. It was this role as Matt's RA. It provided me with some unique insight into some of MJ, as we called him, early leadership characteristics. And that would not only play out in his time here at Northern Illinois University, but would also go a long way in Matt's current position as a vice president and general manager with Getty Images in Chicago. One of those was he was a tremendous goal setter early on. Matt was one of the first guys that I knew from year one that was able to get himself into prime residential housing right away. Student Village Lounge C as a freshman, Seibert Lounge as a sophomore. So he was able to establish some goals and achieve them pretty quickly. He was a tremendous team builder and organizer as well. He would constantly be gathering not only his teammates and others in his room for hours at a time, no doubt discussing baseball techniques, baseball strategies, trying to get everything correct. He was a perfectionist. And he was also a vocal leader. I can never forget the time when I was his RA in Seibert and the hall director, Angel Collins, came up to my door and said, "We need to go talk to Matt because there was a lot of loud music emanating from his room, and she needed to put a stop to it." And she was a little hot, and she'd talked to him about it a time or two before. So went into the room, and she said her piece, but Matt was the guy in the room that stood up, the vocal leader that he was and he would have become, and it started to show right there. And he his calming rebuttal quietly, calmed the situation. I know that Matt's taken that forward with him, and that's just another character trait that he can hang from his mantle as he goes on in life. And then, of course, Matt was a constant team player because there's two of his teammates out here, Hall of Famers, and I think he contributed to their getting to the Hall of Fame as a pitcher early on in his career because they were outfielders. And, of course, not every one of Matt's pitches made it to the catcher's glove. So these guys were running those balls down pretty well for him. So, but, so it's easy to see early on that Matt was a pretty quick-witted and always ready with a snappy comeback. And I will tell you, in our dugout and with our team, that was only not a necessity to survive, but it was a well-appreciated trait. And, to say that he was a part of some pretty amazing teams, Matt would be the first guy to tell you that, but I do promise you what he won't tell you is that he was a big part of those teams in his time here. Trying to figure out exactly how to put this, I talked to a few of Matt's former teammates, to get some insight. And here's just a couple of the comments. He always gave 100% in his preparation and competition. He was easily the team's best pitcher in his senior year, and he showed the younger staff how to prepare and compete at that level. He left that legacy. In his junior year, he became a vocal leader, and when he wasn't pitching, he was always trying to get the guys excited to play and go out and beat our opponents. Had a chance to talk with his pitching coach at the time, Kirby Cannon, and Kirby remembers You know, not only that Matt was a good, talented pitcher, but the thing that he said, he remembers that Matt was so competitive and he battled every batter on every pitch, which I can promise you is a rare thing today when you find a kid like that. And finally, you know, I distinctly remember the late Hall of Famer, Tom Purcell, referring to Matt as a big game hunter. So he was a guy that was out there trying to win the big games. You know, it's indeed a pleasure to be here, Matt. Thank you for the opportunity. On behalf of Matt's wife, Kim, children, Carly and Zach, his mom and brother, all of Matt's former teammates, I'm proud to announce Matt Richards, Hall of Famer.
Eddie. The funny thing is, and this isn't in my notes, but I was talking to some of my teammates back there, and I'm like, a pitcher pitches every 3 or 4 games. So for me, I really only played 1 year at North Central. And here I am. Thanks, Ed, for that quick stroll down memory lane, especially the Angel mention. As usual, you're a difficult guy to follow, just like you were on the pitcher's mound. Thanks for 28 years of friendship. I appreciate it. Baseball gives every American boy a chance to excel, not just be as good as someone else, but to be better than somebody else. This is the nature of man and the name of the game. Ted Williams said that back in 1966 in a Sports Illustrated article. A lot of truth to that. I'm really genuinely honored to be included in the North Central College Athletic Hall of Fame. I really don't believe that what I did all those years ago would land me here. If you would have told me that back in '83 when I hit Student Village, Lounge C, the prime housing, I would never have believed it. But to all my family, friends who are here today, the guys I played with, the guys who played before me, and the guys who played after me, I accept this terrific recognition. First, I'd like to acknowledge some groups. The college, as we celebrate our 150th anniversary. It's a big weekend, as you can tell by the parking or lack thereof outside. All my professors, believe it or not, we did do a lot of homework, even though we had Wednesdays off. My coaches and Cardinal teammates who are here today, my phenomenal family and friends, and the NCC Hall of Fame. Some individuals who deserve special recognition, my wonderful mother, who, growing up, allowed us to turn her front yard into our home field. So we chalked the lines and killed all our grass and plants and just played baseball all day, every day. We also disappeared for what seemed like days at a time to play baseball and do other things. And she never really showed me that she was stressed out by that. But I have to believe she was. And she gave me a line freshman year in the middle of my first trimester here at North Central. I was struggling a little bit with a particular sociology class. And Mom said, well, since you can't do that well in school, maybe you shouldn't play baseball. That was a line that sticks with me now, helped me get through academics and athletics, and something that I use with the kids that I coach today. My big brothers, Rich and Jim, they challenged me and encouraged me. I was the baby of the family, the big baby, but I took my beatings pretty good from my older brothers. And we played games all the time, not just baseball, but anything else, anything where you'd have a winner and loser. And we didn't have much growing up, but somehow my brothers found a way to get me to the occasional Cubs game, Sox game, buy me a bat, get a couple balls, and play the game that I loved. Thanks. My wife, Kim, who didn't see me play in college, and God, if she would have, she might not have married me. But we met shortly thereafter, and we met via a North Central connection. My roommate was dating a good friend of hers for 1 week, and during that 1 week, Kim and I were introduced. She tolerates my obsession for baseball. She played quite a bit herself, and she puts up with all of my very many flaws. Thank you, honey, and I will be at baseball practices all week next week, so I'll see you late at night. My wonderful children, Carly and Zach, you're amazing kids. Thanks for making me proud of you every minute of every day. And remember to dream big, work harder, and find your passion. Tom Seaver told the Chicago Tribune in August of '92, "My children will be able to take their children to the Hall of Fame and say, 'There's your grandfather. He was pretty good at what he did.'" So that's something that solidifies a family for sure. A couple dear friends of mine, one that's here today, one who's no longer with us, BJ Sanabria, who at 10 years old, I don't think I've ever told him this story, but I remember it. 10 years old, he called me and said, "You got to join Hamlin Park Little League Baseball because we need an outfielder, and you seem like you've got a pretty decent arm." Well, I was fat and slow, so he wasn't a great talent scout, that's for sure. But he encouraged me all through Little League, high school, fast pitch on the playground, college. He kept up with my career, and I love him for it. Also, Ricky Velez, who's not here, no longer with us, who was part of our kind of terrific trio back then growing up between the ages of about 10 and 18. And I know he's playing a sport upstairs somewhere, but he was a terrific role model as well. Next, my collegiate baseball family. My teammates, the baseball fraternity, if you will, or as Leo DeRocher once proclaimed in Nice Guys Finish Last, "Give me some scratching, diving, hungry ball players who come to kill you." That pretty much described our team back in the 80s. We walked together as winners forever, guys, with CCIW crowns, regional tournament victories, the College World Series, my throwing error notwithstanding, and so much more. These are accomplishments that we achieved as friends because we were really a close-knit team back then. And Ed knows this from being a manager now, and I'm learning it. Chemistry was everything in the game of baseball. Beyond your play on the field, guys, I want to thank every teammate I've ever had for putting up with me, supporting me, and inspiring me. I wasn't always a walk in the park to deal with, I know that. I was intense, but it's just because I didn't want to let you guys down. Don Drysdale, I only got a couple more quotes in here, I promise. In his 1981 Hall of Fame speech, "My own little rule was 2 for 1. If one of my teammates got knocked down, I knocked down 2 of theirs." Most importantly, and I don't tell you guys this enough, but I'm most proud of the way you carry yourselves off the field and the way you live your lives. I'm honored to call you guys my friends. Specifically, my catchers, a couple of them here today, Paul Gonzalez, Frank Gregorio, Frank Janzik, Tom Mux. Thanks for getting bruised and battered because of me. In some cases, losing your teeth. I think there was 4 teeth lost in one game. And pushing me in games and practices to believe in myself. Then there's the offense and defense, and this is where it gets kind of funny for me because it wasn't that hard pitching for those teams because they scored so many runs. That's why some of those balls that I pitched at got to the outfielders because striking them out wasn't efficient enough. That was 3 pitches instead of 1. But you guys constantly rallied around me, and I was flattered to be on the same field as you guys. Our defense made sure that outs were outs, and when it was our turn to hit, you guys put fear into our opponents, and that made pitching them a whole lot easier for me. Our pitching staff, a lot of guys I've stayed really close with after graduation. Earl Weaver told the LA Times, "Nobody likes to hear it because it's dull, but the reason you win or lose is darn near always the same, and it's because of pitching." You guys ate up innings with me. We trained and studied together. We ran Prairie School Route, where my kids attend school. There's another funny story. Every time I see Prairie, it gave me the memory of running 2.2 miles every day as a pitcher, and we hated running, I mean, honestly. But now my kids go to school there, so I have a slightly different impression of the Prairie School running route. Then there's my teammates in life, and these are guys that, you know, again, we've stayed close over the years, much closer than my high school graduating class and teammates. Superb men. A lot of them aren't here today, but they're here in spirit. Superb men like Tom Pinsky, Brian Zimmerman, Steve Shepsky, Mike Stotts, Chuck Kafalis, Paul Winkle, Frank Gregorio, Larry Gonzalez, Paul Gonzalez, Ed Mathey, Ron Selby, Jim Garner, Tony DiCataldo. The list goes on and on and on. Fellow Hall of Famers, Craig Steffen, Ken Ritter. Thanks, guys. Ton of credit goes to my coaches. Our head coach and fellow Hall of Famer, Tom Purcell, who's represented today by his wife, Sharon, Tommy, and Terry. As well as pitching coaches, Kirby Cannon and Tommy Arrico deserve a lot of credit for our success. Thanks, coaches. You were influential to me, and I'll never forget you. And thanks for investing time in me. I've got to throw out a couple Coach Tom Purcell-isms. When we ran sprints in the gym after a bad game, and there was times like that, a lot of them, he'd use a line called "Da, steady hit." Don't know what that means necessarily, but it worked for us. And then there were games, one game in particular, when we couldn't get the ball to the infield offensively. So yeah, you guys who were hitters didn't always come to play, but too many pop-ups to the second baseman, and Coach Purcell jumped up, smacked his head on the top of the concrete dugout, and yelled, gotta be careful here, puckin' fop-ups. That's what he called us. All right. In closing, I truly want to thank North Central College for adding me to this list of accomplished athletes in its Hall of Fame. Again, I'm humbled as much as I'm honored to be up here in front of you all. Thanks to all of my family and friends for being here today and joining me. Having you with me makes this really a team award. Thanks to my teammates. Again, you guys, couldn't do this without you. No chance, no way. It's a reflection on all of us, and you're the reason that I'm up here. When I pitched for the Cardinal teams back in the 80s, it was about doing the best you could for your teammates, coaches, school, and self, and the results were always out of our control. And baseball is a game of failure, and I'm proud to say that I've learned a lot about life and a lot about handling failure being a baseball player for 40 years. But today is not one of those days we talk about failure. Today I get to celebrate the accomplishments of our entire history-making, record-setting baseball teams, of which I was only a very small part. On behalf of my teammates, family, friends, coaches, teachers, thank you, North Central College and the Athletic Hall of Fame for this terrific, wonderful honor. Thank you.
Here you go.